Good morning, 4:37. Turning to farm news now. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency years behind in setting their renewable fuel standard. That mandate for 2014, due in November 2013, has yet to come out, as does the ones for 2015. U.S. Senator Heidi Heitkamp calling on the EPA to support policies that put biodiesel workers back to work and help provide what she says is long overdue certainty for biodiesel producers. She also pressed the EPA to live up to its legal obligation of ending its years-long delay of setting the volumetric obligations for 2014, 15, 16, and 17.
The decision or lack of decision at EPA regarding biodiesel has been devastating to the industry. We've lost the certainty that the statute provided. We've lost the certainty to the industry, and as a result, many of our facilities have been shut in, waiting for a final decision.
According to the National Biodiesel Board, since November 2012, 54 biodiesel plants in 30 states have closed or idled because of the lack of certainty from the EPA. In 2014, nearly 80% of U.S. biodiesel producers scaled back production, and almost 6 in 10 idled production altogether. The Hard Red Winter Wheat Tour results are in, and the 2015 Hard Red Winter Wheat estimate is for a crop of 288.5 million bushels. Day 3 average yield was much higher than last year at 48.9 bushels per acre. Last year, the USDA reported 2014 Kansas wheat production at 246.4 million bushels, and the Wheat Tour estimate was 260.7 million. Scouts say field abandonment rates and disease pressure could still move yield needle up or down. According to USDA, about 8.3% of the 9.6 million acres planted to hard red winter wheat in Kansas were abandoned in 2014. Now, the impact of disease pressure, particularly from stripe rust, playing out in fields now. North Dakota farmers almost finished putting in the 2015 crop. For the past 2 years, producers were forced to wait until well into May to even begin planting because of wet weather. But because of a dry winter, spring field work got started in late March and April, and only in the last couple of days has been delayed by rain, but planting way ahead of schedule.
Some of this year's wheat crop has already sprouted and matured to the two-leaf stage. The shortage of rain early in the growing season allowed farmers to get a head start on planting, and dry conditions are still benefiting the small grain crop for the time being.
The root system is developing nicely under the plants, and so the lack of moisture is going to force it to develop that good root system.
Lyle Franklin is one of the farmers who is way ahead of schedule when it comes to planting.
There's enough, I think, to germinate. I mean, I planted some wheat, that's up. I think there's enough to start the beans, but sooner or later we need rain.
Franklin says farmers in eastern North Dakota desperately need rain.
The further east you get, it's drier. I know there's some guys I talked to who are putting corn in, and they said they were putting it in dry dirt.
And indeed, that's what everybody was doing until the rains arrived. Thankfully, the recent rain should help farmers all around the area with their newly planted crops. Also, although the rain much needed, probably less than what you had hoped for, it made many people, though, very happy. It put early planted crops in gear, but also the weeds are likely going to pop now.
There's a lot of little stuff coming now, and I think after we get this rain and we've got heat, everything's going to really start taking off. I mean, the top inch or so of soil where most of that weed seeds are is pretty dry, so they haven't taken off yet, which is good. Water hemp and kochia are probably the two big ones, and then probably common ragweed that we've seen some resistance issues with. So working on those, keeping up on those. Using multiple modes of action. Liberty Link soybeans is a good tool, and then utilizing a pre on both your corn and soybeans.
There are a couple of weeds that likely didn't wait for the rain. They're already growing, and they are perennial problems here.
The soil temperatures have been cool, and crops are struggling to get out of the ground, but weeds are the same. But there are some weeds like kochia and lamb's quarters that actually love cold weather. It might be hard to believe, but lamb's quarters and kochia can germinate even below freezing. 31, 32 degrees, even into the mid or upper 30s, they just grow and germinate very well. if a grower has, let's say, several acres to go over, and like this rain may slow a person down a few days, they can grow, that they can get to the point where the herbicide may be much less effective than if they sprayed earlier. So watch the growth stage, watch the timing, watch the temperature, and try to make all the planets align and get the best control you can.
Monday here in the Valley Today Ag Show, Rich will explain why it's very important to use adjuvants here in the Red River Valley when applying herbicides. Red River Valley Fair has canceled the poultry exhibits for this summer's fair because of the bird flu outbreak and possible spread into the area. State Board of Animal Health made that call a week ago. The live egg hatching and live poultry displays will also be eliminated in the Ag Education Center. Since the first year the Red River Valley Fair has had to eliminate a live animal display, last year the PED virus spread through the swine industry and affected newborn piglets. The fair chose not to have newborn swine in order to protect the animals last year. They will also use it as a teaching tool for the general public. All right, it's 4:43. Right after the break, we'll come back and see where it's still raining and see how much cold air is lurking out there.